can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
I don't know how, Mike. This is Sam, Mike and Don. Could I just say about Don? Now, you'll think I'm making this up, but our great friend Jeff Slattery, Don has got bird flu. He has got it from birds. And there's a technical name for it, which Slattery sent in. It's pistis something, means it's parrot flu. Don is seriously ill. He's not now, but he was seriously ill with bird flu. So he's not here at the minute.
For the third week in a row, isn't it?
But he'll be back next week.
That's from feeding lorikeets. Did you know that?
Lorikeets or parrots, one of the same family. And we've taken a week to recover from the onslaught of a man that we had in here. We've got another man in here I'll introduce in 1 second. But Rex Hunt, I think...
Cyclone Rex.
I think he he hit us to leg last week.
He hit you to leg,
He hit you to leg. He said didn't like you.
He did say that.
And you took offence.
No, me?
Yeah, you.
That stuff never worries me.
And no, my God, I had to placate you the whole week. Rod Law worked tirelessly to massage you into a frame of mind.
Bullshit.
Anyhow, we have another man. Now, this man is, the stars and the personalities get bigger and bigger. This man
Metaphorically.
Yes, very, very well done, metaphorically. By stature, not a greatly huge man, but a very, very imposing figure. He's been in the media most of his life, all of his life. He's started a radio station called MTR, which I was on. He's been in the jungle. I'm a celebrity, get me out of this. He heads up talk radio for Sydney Broadcasting. He's on the Project, that very fine, you wouldn't watch it because it's not your favourite station, the
10,
ABC.
yeah.
It's on Channel 10. Yeah. And he used to manage me and that moron, not that moron, that lad Rex. Well, I'm a moron too, Rex, if you're listening. He used to manage us on Drive on radio. Hang on, I haven't introduced him.
Well, hurry up.
No, because we're just gilding the lily a little. And he is a very, very capable and competent man, and he is Mr. Stephen Price. Thank you, Stephen. How are you?
Good to see you haven't changed a habit of a lifetime and done any research.
What
that was a gloss over of my stellar career in the media.
It was.
You said nothing. In it most of his life.
Yeah, you took 5 minutes to say nothing.
You could have said that I started in newspapers in 1972 in Adelaide as an 18-year-old.
Just a minute. Gee, just a minute. I said MTR. I said, a celebrity, get me out of here. I said, you managed to drive on 3AW. I went right through your career, and I was my first question, Stephen, was about to give you an opportunity. How did you start in the business? And then you could have said exactly what you just said then about starting in Adelaide and managing us. Go on, tell us.
How are you, Steve?
I'm very well, Michael. Thank you, Sam, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you and Mick get on?
We've had our ups and downs.
Have we?
Largely, yeah.
Have you?
Largely we had, usually over money.
Oh, it is only joking.
What sort of money?
Usually over money.
What sort of money?
Because when I ran 3AW, Michael was, as you know, the Saturday special guest.
Yes.
He'd pop into the box and talk about the matches. It was the most entertaining radio, I think, of the week. But he kept wanting to get paid more money.
That's not true.
And
it's entirely
get to the
untrue.
end of the year and he'd go to Triple M, trail his coat around there,
bullshit,
see if they'd pay more.
What is wrong with that
please.
chair? The people who sit in there just become...
Well, then if you take issue with him, say, I don't think that's quite right,
I tell you,
Stephen, rather than saying that's bullshit.
how I never tumble in for people who provoke me?
Oh, God,
but
no.
in this instance, I have said consistently throughout my professional career, I've always said to the people who are paying me, if you think it's fair, I accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you were on too much and we wanted to pay you less.
Really?
And you left.
And where'd I go?
In high dudgeon.
Where'd I go?
I don't know where you went.
Well, you see, you
just took off.
You're talking about him doing his research. What about you?
Well, he's the same. He tried to get more money and then went to Triple M on $1 million contract, left us in the lurch.
Did you get $1 million?
I did nothing of the sort, Stephen. That's just hyperbole. That is hyperbolic nonsense, and you know it. And don't look at me in those stupid...
Did you not push me up against a wall and say, pay me more money, or I'm going to Triple M?
I pushed you up against a wall, not for more money, Stephen.
Why?
I was just in search of my own sexuality at that stage, and I thought, no, this is a young man, a smallish young man.
Did we not argue over money?
Probably, Stephen. Isn't that how the game's played?
No, not always.
Don't you talk about arguing. Just tell us about how you have gone from living in the shithouse to the penthouse by having extraordinary deals with Macquarie Radio, by contracts actually running out of their tenure of time, and you just being elevated because you had a clad iron contract. How
Do you understand that question,
No,
Michael?
that was the
You've
strangest
signed
question.
two extraordinary deals which have elevated you into the multi-million dollars bracket, and you've done very little for them, haven't you?
I was asked a couple of times to jump off a very large cliff. I replaced Alan Jones in Sydney on radio on 2GB, on 2UE, I should say.
Mick wishes you had.
That was in 2002.
Yeah, you hate Alan Jones.
Yeah, well, I don't hate him.
2002,
Yes, you
I
do.
took
He's
over
just a
from
bully
Alan.
and a bigot. That's all.
So you hate him.
Yeah. No, I hate the way he behaves.
I should make a point. I never talk about my on-air colleagues in any forum, including your high-rated
Well, you
podcast.
will this morning.
No, I won't.
Or you'll be vacating the chair.
No.
I might. 2002, I went to 2UE, took over from Alan Jones, and I'd never ever lived in Sydney. And they paid me a huge amount of money to
That's
do
what
it.
I said.
Like? What's a huge amount of money?
Yeah.
A high six figures.
High six figures.
900,000.
High six figures.
900,000.
It's very impolite to ask how much
Stephen,
people earn.
Stephen, is it? You said you're not going to talk about your on-air colleagues. Is Kyle Sandilands on $4 million a year?
Well, he's not an on-air colleague of mine, so I can bag the hell out of him.
Okay, well,
what I
feel
mean
free.
is I'll never criticise people I actually work with on a daily
Okay,
basis.
so is Sandilands on $4 million a year?
Much more than that. He's
More?
just signed a new deal that between him and Jackie O, they've on $50 million between them.
Over what period?
I think 8 years. So that's a lot of money.
What is? Allow me to proceed for a
Heck,
moment.
it's your
Yeah.
show, mate. I'm just here I'm window dressing.
What makes Sandilands so attractive to the people of Sydney? Like I don't think he'd work in Melbourne. That's just my layman's opinion. Why is he so popular in Sydney?
Melbourne and Sydney are very different places. We might have time to get into that a bit later. But FM radio is where he works. And what he's done is he's proven by leaving 2-day FM to go to the current station he's on, which is, I think, Hit FM or one of those, that he could move an audience. So he's destroyed the business he left by leaving. And so the people who are now paying him are very frightened. I was about to say shit scared, but very frightened that he might leave. So they just keep paying him more money.
What's his appeal?
He just says outrageous things, and young people like to listen to it on their way to work.
Okay.
It doesn't appeal to me at all. He's a fat slob.
Would it work in Melbourne?
Thank you, Stephen.
Not at all.
So he says outrageous things.
Well, he said that...
No, I know what he said.
Did you know what he said about Mother Mary?
The Virgin
I know
Mary,
all
yeah.
those things.
Well, that's appalling.
Because I don't want to bring me into this, but I am. I get compared to him. In fact, I've got a feeling.
You got more intelligence in your little toe than
Yes,
him.
but I've got a feeling in not as many words that I got sacked from the footy show because I had opinions that they didn't want me to express because they're not in the woke category of what's going on in the world today. No, seriously, but Kyle, and you can't knock him, Kyle.
Well, you can knock him because he's crass and he's a bully.
And they'd say that about me, Mick. But
Well,
he has gone from success to success.
Well, I would say
I became
I would
redundant.
say about him. I mean, he was a street kid. His parents had a marriage breakup when he was a 14-year-old. This is not him inventing a troubled past, but he was living in a dumpster. He had no one loved him. He had no connections.
Living in a dumpster.
Story about how he used to sit outside his father's house crying and watching the lights go out while his dad went to bed. I mean, I got some sympathy for the bloke. He's gone from that to driving around in a $500,000 Rolls Royce.
Well, that doesn't worry me, the 500,000 Rolls Royce.
No, because
Well, it
you're
would
a
if you had one.
socialist, Mick. You're
I am,
not a
I am.
capital. Well, that's right. You wouldn't drive one.
But
if
We've
even
got to
someone
give
gave
him
it to
that
you.
credit, surely.
No, I'm talking about what we get now. I mean,
What do you mean?
well, the product. I mean, he may have had a tough upbringing.
I will have a bet with you.
Yeah.
I'll bet you, $100 you've never listened to his show.
Good point. Yeah.
No, but I have
I owe you
because
100.
it
Well,
doesn't-
hang on, shut up. He's criticising someone he's never listened
No,
to.
but I hear, what do you call them, snatchers, aren't they?
What?
You can't say him. Shut up. This
can.
is,
He's
you're in
told me
Melbourne.
I can.
You're back in Melbourne here, champ. You can't talk like that.
Anyway, you shouldn't criticise a program you haven't listened to.
Well, I read
It's
what
like
he
me
said.
saying,
No.
"Oh, I don't like Mike Sheahan. I hate the stuff he writes in the paper." Do you read it? No.
No, that's not
It's
fair.
exactly the same.
Wait, I see what he says about the. I was privy to what
Cherry
he said
picked,
about.
though, Mick.
Yeah, of course it's cherry picked.
Well, then you don't tumble into all that. He's cherry-picked some of his salacious comments are cherry-picked.
yes, correct.
So, and you form an opinion on those cherry-picked comments.
Yes.
His point, that man there, that shortish man there with a huge reputation,
Yeah.
says that you should have an overall view of him if you listen to him.
Well, this is the bloke, Stephen Price, who 2 minutes ago referred to Sandilands as a fat slob.
But he is. I mean, I'm just talking about his physical appearance. Like you always call me short. He's fat.
I don't call you. I call you the angry ant.
Not anymore.
No, the poison.
Not anymore.
The poison dwarf is what he used to go under.
Did he?
He went under
Yeah,
everything.
you know that. You did. You were called the poison dwarf.
Some
you know
idiot in a column in Toorak Times or something
That's
who's
right.
long dead that we don't
Hey,
care
Steve.
about.
Well,
Stephen.
I hope I speak accurately. That's what they
Stephen,
called you.
The radio awards were on at the weekend, correct?
Yes.
Sydney won them all. Is that right? Sydney won all the major awards.
I don't enter them, so don't take much
No,
interest.
you can read and you can hear. They won. Didn't Sydney win them all?
Ben Fordham won Best Talk Personality. Ray Hadley won Best Current Affairs. Kyle and Jackie O Best On Air Team. Yeah, I think
So who were the judges?
program directors from all states around the country, I
Really?
think.
So can I ask you a question?
Jeez.
So
You're feeling put out because
No, I'm not on radio. It doesn't worry me.
So-
But we are.
dear old Neil to win an award or something.
No,
Or-
so dear old Neil. So dear old Neil has been the number one talk radio morning broadcaster for 2 decades.
Who put him on air?
Stephen.
It's not all about you, Stephen.
Stephen.
Well, I was the program director when we decided to put him in mornings. You've got to give the people who put these teams together some credit.
And you put him in, Murray, he took over from Murray.
Yeah, we sacked that bloke.
What was his name?
Murray.
Nickel.
Murray Nicol.
Murray Nickel.
You sacked him, did you? Mm-hmm. Why did you sack him?
Because his ratings weren't any good. And
Okay,
the
so
station was number 7 and we needed to be number 1.
So all right, Stephen. So this is my point. Dear old Neil, as you call him, has been the number one morning broadcaster on AM radio for.
In Victoria.
Well, Ray Hadley's not in Victoria, is he? He's in New South Wales.
Well, the point I'm making is that he's number 1 in Melbourne.
Yeah.
That's it.
and Ray Hadley's number one in Sydney.
Yeah, unlike someone like myself who's networked into Brisbane, Canberra, Sydney and Melbourne
Stephen,
and is
please.
number 1 in all of those cities,
To mix-
you've got to have appeal in each state.
Now shut up a minute. Now to Mick's point, he is the number one, dear old Neil, for 2 decades in Melbourne, where Ray Hadley is number one in Sydney, and you say he's taken the station, helpfully taken it from 7th to number 1 by far. Surely he could win an award in Sydney, a Sydney-dominated, oriented trophy.
Well, he's won them plenty of times before. I don't
has
even
he?
know if my old friend Neil even enters anymore. I mean, I presume.
You have to enter.
You've got to enter it.
Oh, do you?
I don't go into these awards.
Why not?
I've won enough of them. I don't need
Oh,
any more.
you've won enough of me. How many Walkleys have you got?
I haven't got a Walkley because I'm not a wanker.
That's debatable, son.
So do you have to enter awards?
Yes, of course
Well,
you
then
do.
I would not that I ever would fancy entering
Have
to
you
say
not won awards?
not that I've
You
entered,
got a Logie.
not that I've entered. Fancy
Channel
entering,
9 entered you for a Logie.
Channel 9 might have. Fancy entering, putting yourself up and saying, "Look, I'm a star. Here's what I do. Give us a bit of recognition, will you?" That is ridiculous. It should be.
No. There's another side to it. I mean,
No, there's no other side
How
to
are
it.
you going to? You're just saying appoint a panel of people.
That's correct.
Wait a sec, and presume that they will have listened to and read everything.
That's correct. If you appoint a panel of people, they should be across the panel. They should be across the.
No, I don't agree with that.
They should be across the subject that they're adjudicating on. Like you don't ask people in the Hall of Fame. You are an AFL selector of the Hall of Fame inductees, aren't you?
Well, I was.
Well,
I'm
you
not-
were. Did
yeah.
you go and ask the players?
Yeah,
did
I
they
would
think-
imagine in the AFL awards when Michael was still writing, he would have entered his scoop of the year
Yep.
Would
into
you?
the
Yep.
award.
Yep.
You
To-
personally,
Yes.
not the paper.
Well, the paper. Well, I had to nominate
No,
them.
there's
and
a hell of a difference
there's
between
not.
the paper
No.
nominating you and you
There's no
nominating
the paper
yourself.
just did the mechanics.
There's no difference.
Yeah, there's no difference.
Of course there's a
None.
difference,
Michael
Stephen.
says, I had an exclusive about, I don't know, somebody, Ron Barassi, and then he goes, put that in.
Yeah.
The paper would have known that he had an exclusive.
You're making presumptions that you don't know what you're talking about, really.
Well,
Michael would have individually decided what he wanted to enter.
Correct.
into
I
an
tell you
award.
why I
and
know
I
what I'm-
entered myself into awards when I won them. I don't do it anymore because I can't be bothered.
I tell you why I know what I'm talking about. You said I've won a Logie on the footy show. I didn't win a Logie. Channel 9 would have put us
Did you
up.
get up on the stage and bask in the glory of the Logie?
Not
yes.
really. I followed.
You were there and you were waving
Yes.
to a national audience going, look how great I am.
I went up because the people said, come on, up you come. I stood in the background. I never spoke. I never made a statement, never commented. And I would never put myself up for any award ever.
Got very angry when the NRL footy show used to win all the Logie awards and not you.
Is that true?
That got under your skin. When Fatty Vaughton used to win it every year, you used to complain.
Fatty, I tell you why I complained. Fatty
did
Vaughton
complain.
is a very good man. He's a very
Did he
good.
ever?
But this was politics. You just think about it. 9 ran the Logies, and their flagship sport was the NRL, so they would prop the NRL up by giving them Logies, and people would think, wow, this must be a fantastic
Logies
product.
are voted on by people who read TV Week.
Yes.
No, they're the most corrupt.
What?
The Logies, you can
You
vote.
buy TV Week and vote.
What
with tick a
about?
box.
What about? I won't mention his name. What about that young man who came up and won a gold Logie and swore on television, said the F word because everyone thought that was pretty edgy. They ring in.
What was his name?
You ring in. You ring
Tom
in.
Ballard, you're talking about?
No, Tom Ballard. No.
Oh, Gleisner, yeah. Gleason. Whoever.
No,
Yeah.
not talking about him.
Anyway,
The bloke from Hard Quiz.
Listen.
Channel
to
9
me.
did not rig the Logies. People vote.
What? Yeah, that's how they rig it. Channel 9 didn't rig it, but you had to vote on your phone, text in. People would text 5,000 times for the one.
It got under your skin
Anyway,
that Fatty
no,
Vaughton
it
was
was
better
the
than
most-
you.
Can we
most-
talk in broader issues than that? Now, Stephen, what makes people think that you talked before about you being syndicated around the country? What makes people think that you can send a Sydney product into Melbourne and that it will take?
Well, the basic mistake you make there, the basic premise mistake you make is that there are not national issues. So if you're doing a national program, you don't talk about what's happening in Western Sydney. You don't talk about rugby league. You don't talk about state politics in New South Wales. You talk about national political issues. You talk about global issues. I mean, I'm number one. I was number one in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne for a couple of surveys last year. And the reason being is the show we did had a national appeal.
So you wouldn't talk AFL or NRL?
Never.
Well, they're the biggest sporting interests in the country, and you can't talk about them
We can
because
talk
you're
about
worried.
cricket.
Wait a sec, because you're worried about the audience that you're going to.
Well, if you do that, you do both. So you have the very best person to talk about NRL.
If you were station manager, would you make that decision?
Yeah, it worked. I mean, you can't argue
Works,
with the...
does it?
We can't
Do you think Jones and Hadley...
Hang on, you can't argue with the figures. I was number one at night in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane.
You, Stevie.
Yes.
You've become up yourself since.
You have.
You've become.
No,
You're
always-
asking me...
he's always been up himself.
Your
No,
friend
yes.
here is asking me to justify whether
Your
networking
large
radio
salary.
programs work or not.
Yeah.
Of course they do if the person's
I know,
smart
your friend
enough.
too.
If you're smart enough, anything can work.
Aren't we friends?
Yes, we are.
Oh, Mick, if you ask anyone of they friend
Yes,
of yours
we are.
again, I'm going to
I've
throw up.
known you as long as him.
Now, Stevie, so you're global. Do you speak about Trump?
All the time.
Well, we're not allowed to speak about him here because Mick has no idea how good he is and
No,
bags
you
him
know what I said?
unmercilessly.
No, I said, if you want to continue to speak about Trump, I'll absent myself from the program.
Absent.
Why?
Yeah. Because,
He's the most powerful politician in the world,
well, he
mate.
may be, but he's tiresome. I think people,
Well, he's
intelligent people are tired of him and
What's
his
tiresome
antics.
about delivering on your promises when you got
No,
elected?
Mick,
You set this up, didn't you?
Oh, turn it up. You think I'd set him up? He's got his own opinion. Whether you like that man or not, no one gives him credit for what he's done, and you don't have to like him. All you got to do is just be objective and say,
we won't get caught up on Trump, but he
No.
said that he would fix up the imbalance between China and the US in trade, and he's done it. That's it. I mean, that's it. And he'll be re-elected in a landslide next year.
You want to ask him something?
oh, only about 500 things. So go on.
Well,
Go on.
I have special interest with Stephen because we
Well,
both
go
have
ahead.
a newspaper media background.
Well, go on.
Now, Steve,
let me just chip in occasionally then.
What did you make of the decision of the newspapers to print the front pages on Monday?
Yes.
Blank.
Good question, Mick. I got that
Thanks,
written down
Johnny
here.
boy.
I thought it was a complete overreaction by the papers. I don't think the general public have any understanding of what they're arguing.
Self-deprecating it was.
And what they're complaining about. The public look at that and go, that's politicians and journalists, whinging in each other's pockets.
Well, you don't think the public understand?
I didn't mention it on my show yesterday at all.
Well, that doesn't make it right or wrong.
No, that's my editorial judgment that I don't think
Yeah.
people driving around in utes in Sydney and Brisbane and Canberra could give a stuff about.
Not everyone drives
the
around in
newspaper.
utes, actually, Steve. This might shock you.
This
but
is the rank and file.
Do you know
what the
Australia
highest-
do, Mick? You're in the top 5% who don't
Oh,
drive
am I?
around. Yeah,
well,
you're
because
an
I've got a
elitist.
Volkswagen Passat.
You're
Given we're
elitist.
dealing in facts, the highest selling vehicle in Australia is a Toyota Hilux.
Okay. Well, righto.
So,
okay.
No,
Well, that's a fact.
No need
Well,
to snap.
no one disputed that.
No.
Yeah, but he just dismisses it as if I'm a lunatic. They sell more utes than anything else.
I know that, Stephen. I'm across that. So Ida Buttrose, this has taken over your favourite station. Mick doesn't watch doesn't watch free-to-air television.
That's not true. Oh, no. Well, it's basically true. Yeah.
That's right. That's what I said.
I watch the ABC.
Don't automatically dispute what I say before you
always been a
actually
bit
hear
of
what
a
I
lefty.
say.
I've been a lefty, have I?
Yeah,
Forever.
no, he's a lefty. That's right. Yeah, that's all right. That's why
I'm
we
not
get on.
complaining about it, but that's
No.
what he's always been.
We don't have any problems.
No,
here
we do
being
not.
on opposite sides of the
Of the political
fence.
spectrum.
So Ida Buttrose, I thought it was a fantastic thing that she became boss of the ABC.
How wrong you were.
Am I? Why?
Because she's useless.
That's a why.
She's done nothing
So-
to change the culture of the ABC.
Well, so and who did before
and who
her?
appointed her? Malcolm Turnbull.
Who did before?
What's
her?
happened to Malcolm Turnbull now?
Stephen, before that, what about the campaign that she's done now where she's gone to the people?
Spin and
It's just
absolute,
spin, is it?
just political
But she's
spin.
got 25,000
That
responses.
organisation will never change.
She's got 25,000 responses to a set of questions about finding out who
You know what she should
Australians
do?
are.
You know what she should
You,
do?
what, no, you answer me that.
Get the ABC out of South Bank and buy a block of land in Werribee and see if her mates from the ABC would like to go and work down there. Same way in Sydney. Get out of Ultimo and go and live in Parramatta.
So
they won't do
why?
that. They're all inner city lefties who ride their bikes to work.
That's Mick.
I'm that, yeah.
So Stephen, so you say she's done nothing and she's useless.
Nothing.
Thank you, Stephen. The person she took over from, what did he do to enhance the reputation of the ABC? Or else why did they change him?
The managing director,
Yes,
Michelle Guthrie,
yes.
was sacked
Yes, she was. Why?
because she was incompetent.
She wasn't doing any work.
And the chairman went with her.
So Mick, so Stephen.
What's the point?
But the point is that these people get sacked because they're no good, and Ida Buttrose comes in, and she's been in the job a minute, and you've already bagging her. Whereas there's a whole litany of
Almost
people.
a year, I think.
There's a whole litany of people that have been before who have done nothing.
I'll check it. I think she's been there a year.
Well, it's irrelevant. I said a minute.
So
all
the
right?
culture of the ABC, in my view, and I watch some of the ABC, but the basic culture of their news and current affairs department
Is biased.
is that it's strongly of the left. They have
Yes.
no conservative viewpoint, no conservative commentators. Now, if we give that organisation $1 billion as we do a year of taxpayers' money, and you look at the Australian population, and we just had an election in May where a Conservative Party was re-elected and Labor did not get elected, where in the ABC are the people on air that are representing those people who voted for the Conservative Party in the
Stephen,
election?
extremely unfair. Ida Buttrose is a Kerry Packer surrogate. She was probably gone to the ABC to address that exact inequity and that exact imbalance that you're talking about, and you bag her out of hand before she's had a chance to even vaguely
I'll come
change
back
the
here
culture.
in a year and there'll be nothing that'll have changed
Stephen,
at the ABC.
Stephen.
That's
And
what
the reason why,
what a
she's the chairman of the
ridiculous
board.
comment. How
She's
do
the
you know?
chairman of the board. The board can't make changes. The ABC is run by the staff, and the staff will always run the ABC. It will never change. Now, Michael likes it, so he doesn't care that it's like that. And the ABC's
But
popular.
I want
It's
to
got
ask you a
pretty good
question,
ratings.
Stephen. What would, if we didn't have the ABC or it were privatised, what would happen to Four Corners and Back Roads and Catalyst and all those programs? They've got nothing to do with politics. They are telling us about what's happening in the world.
Fair enough.
And they're an investigative
But
organisation.
Mick, if the national broadcaster only has a slant to the left, isn't it a good idea to try and embrace the other half of the country from the national broadcaster?
Not a good idea. It's in their charter. The charter of the ABC says it must be balanced, and it's not.
Okay, so that's why someone like Ida Buttrose, who has come from a...
Why you've got an obsession with Ida Buttrose is beyond me.
Did you have any history there, Sam?
The CEO of
any
the...
history with Ida?
But no.
And you?
What's that, Mick?
I'm waiting for the answer.
I said, is there any history with John Newman and Ida Buttrose?
What do you mean if I tipped her over?
Well,
What do you mean?
Well, that's warm, yeah. Let's go down that path.
Well, Mick, just for the sake of this accurate answer, I haven't, but given the opportunity, I would very much welcome it.
Sorry, Stephen. I'm sorry to be frivolous, mate.
I don't think you quite understand because you've never worked in publicly.
You just told me I was a very intelligent person.
You've never worked in a publicly listed organisation. The chairman of the board has very limited powers. The CEO of the ABC, David Anderson, is paid $1.1 million as a salary. Now, that's outrageous for a start.
Well, you get that.
I'm not on the ABC and I rate.
You're not. Oh, I see.
So he's the bloke who makes the decisions.
So Ida Buttrose said
So
in your...
what you should be talking about, if you want to really talk about reform on the ABC, John Fain left. He's retired, thank God. Replaced by Virginia Trioli, someone of the same politics.
She's a star, Virginia Trioli.
See, there you are.
Really? Who gave her first job on radio?
Don't tell me
you again, is it?
Me.
Jeez.
You
Plucked her out of the age and stuck her on air.
Norman Banks and Ormsby Wilkins?
You didn't
I'm
put
not
your
as old
hand
as
up
you.
the back of Donald Trump's coat and ask him to walk down the escalator before he nominated to be the
I
president.
can only
did
deal
you?
in facts. You asked me to deal in facts. I gave
Stephen,
Virginia Trioli her first job on radio.
I am saying to you again that you out of hand knock Ida Buttrose, who probably...
Stop obsessing with Ida Buttrose, will you?
Who has probably been brought onto the ABC board to try and... Brought on, thank you, Mick. To try and address the imbalance of the ABC's left-leaning attitude. I don't know why out of hand, whether she has a great influence or not, you are knocking her out of hand.
I'll come back in a year and we'll see. I'll tell you what will
That's
happen. Nothing will change.
How easy it is
Nothing
to
will change.
Well, then at least they've had a go at
Okay, so
dipping
she's
a
been
toe in
there
the water.
minimum of 8-9 months. When her leading presenter in Melbourne, John Fain, leaves, why wouldn't this chairman of change that you are so in love with
Put me on.
appoint somebody?
Well,
Correct.
Like Andrew Bolt?
Well, what's
I
wrong
don't
with
know.
Andrew Bolt? You keep doing that. He has conservative values and opinions.
Oh, really? Does he?
Just like you like, and I have no problem with Victoria Trimble. What's her name?
You know her name.
No,
You know her name.
Please, I'm not being
Yes, you are.
Victoria.
Why don't you address the question, both of you?
Virginia.
Why wouldn't John Fain
Virginia
be
Trimboli,
replaced with a
who's
Conservative?
a very competent, capable, pleasant person, knows what she's doing, but she is left-leaning. What's wrong with Bolt giving a right-wing view of things?
Philosophically, the AFL should be left-leaning, in my view.
Why?
Not the AFL. The ABC.
AFL is.
The ABC.
From the day you were there right till now.
The
it's one of the
ABC
most left-leaning socialist sporting organisations in the world.
That was a Freudian slip. The ABC should be left-leaning. I mean, by nature, it should be.
Why?
To hold the governments and the authorities to account.
Just because you're on the left doesn't mean you hold governments to
Yes, it
account.
does. Well,
the Australian population of however 17, 18 million we are now, just elected
25.
however many. We
I
just
see.
elected a Conservative government.
Seeing as we're talking about the ABC, there was in some people's opinion, a salacious view of the horse industry. They did a big program called the 7:30 Report.
Yes.
And they slated the livestock industry, which are horses. I think they're livestock. Well, they're stock
they
and
are,
they're live.
yeah.
And a man who has a bit of a different view to it has joined us. He's been sitting patiently listening to this. He is affectionately known as Racetrack Ralphie. He's Ralph Horowitz, and he has a different angle on some of the salacious.
It wasn't salacious.
It was salacious.
No, it wasn't.
Well, what's
was
salacious
talking
mean?
about the bloody
What's
the
salacious
inhumane
mean?
slaughter.
Salacious has got something to do with sex.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it does.
Not necessarily.
Well, it
Every
wasn't
day of the
salacious.
week.
It was salacious.
No, it wasn't. It was a
It was a
factual account.
It wasn't.
Of
That's
what's,
my
wait
point.
a sec. Of what's happening to the livestock, particularly retired racehorses.
It was a provocative account,
well, let
and
Ralph-
he
that's a better
disputes
word.
it.
Yeah.
Ralph, welcome to
hello.
Sam, Mike and Don.
Firstly, can I marry up all this of what you've said? One of the greatest bits of radio ever was when you and Rex used to join Steve. What was it, about 5 to 6, or he was meant to be 4 to 6, and you'd leave
Right or
him.
not?
You'd leave him as long as
It
possible.
went from 5:30
Yep.
to 20 to 6
Yep.
to 4:45 to 5 to 6 when we said, we're not doing it, we're off. And you said, well, you're paid to speak to me. We're not speaking to you if you give us 5 minutes.
I cut it short because I was worried about what you were going to say. I didn't want to get sued.
Oh, like Kyle Sandilands. You should have
Ralphie,
paid
And
me
it
double.
was spring carnival time, and Octagonal had just been retired to stud, the mighty Octagonal, and I think the racing guy you had on was it Dr. Turf or Ron Taylor, one of the two at the time.
Mr. Rothfield, yes.
Yes. He said he's going to stud and he's going to be $150,000 a service fee, and you said, Jesus, what's that a litre? And I nearly drove off the road. That's salacious.
That's
Now,
salacious.
Ralphie, let's go to last week's 7:30
Yes.
report.
Yes.
About the mass slaughter of retired racehorses and standard bred horses
Yes.
who are trotters.
Yes.
What's your view about what we learnt there?
Well, once again, and it's taking up on Steve's point, it's the ABC was so desperate to frame an argument that actually what's going to end up happening, because it was produced by animal activists, they supplied the vision, no doubt.
And they'd been watching it for 2 years
Yep.
and doing nothing
6
about
months.
it.
6 months.
2 years.
2 years.
2
Well,
years
I-
of surveillance
They
footage.
said
2
last
years.
night on 7:30 report it was 6 months
Yeah,
of film.
watch something up
Yep.
in the ABC, you might get the facts.
Oh,
And the
well,
other
I
thing
listen
is
to
they
you.
timed it for the of the week of the Everest and the
Absolutely.
Caulfield Cup.
Salacious.
It doesn't take
this
away.
is from the dictionary.
Just let Ralphie
No,
finish his
I'm
point
telling you
for a
what
moment.
salacious is before he does it. Obscene, grossly indecent. If you didn't think people kicking horses in the head was obscene and grossly indecent, that is salacious.
Yeah, I'll
Go
give you
ahead,
that.
Ralph.
And as Steve said, it's all about the timing of trying to take on to an industry. So doing it in Everest Week. Last year, talk about Virginia Trioli, I was watching ABC News 24, Friday after the Melbourne Cup, the Nup to the Cup hashtag and all the other things that the lefties wanted to jump on and try and destroy the race. And a comedian was on it, and the comedian said, I think we're all a bit over the Melbourne Cup. This is after, it's still the race that stops nation, yeah? He said it's just animal cruelty. And the comedian's sitting there wearing a leather jacket. Rest my case.
Yeah, no, you can't rest your case. I'm not. That's
No,
that's,
I'm talking
that's
about the
peripheral
hypocrisy.
stuff.
I'm talking about the
Get to
hypocrisy.
the issue of
Yeah.
last Thursday night.
Yep. So, Mike, if you have you got a dog?
No,
Have you had a dog?
when I was a kid, I did.
Okay. Well, if you buy the dog from a dog breeder, and then you mistreat that dog, and then the journalist then went and attacked the dog breeder for what you did, would you think that's fair journalism?
No, your point's fair. I accept that.
Yeah, that's the starting point.
The issue that gets lost in here, though, is that whoever's responsible. In this case, doesn't matter because we're talking about the inhumane treatment, the savagery from Salacious that we saw the other night in the way these horses are disposed
That
of.
is disgraceful.
In
Ralph.
one
Yes. Of course
state,
it is.
I
in
have
one
no
abattoir.
problem about
one
horses
state,
being
in one
slaughtered.
abattoir.
Yep.
If you got to get rid of horses, but to do it in that fashion that was on that is disgraceful.
100%. And do you know who? Can I give you some names of people who were the most disgusted by it so far publicly?
Yeah.
Lee Friedman.
Yeah.
Chris Waller.
Yep.
So what I'm
Lloyd
saying,
Williams.
Lloyd Williams. What I'm saying is the leaders of the industry, the hands-on leaders of the industry, and the ABC and Karen Meldrum Hanna, who did the story on the greyhound racing.
And on the live sheep export.
Yes. Well, I'm not across the. I don't understand the mechanics of the live sheep exports other than what I've read in the paper type thing or followed. But I do understand the dynamics of these two sports and the differences between the live baiting and what's happened here with the racehorses. With the greyhound racing, we had leading greyhound figures caught on tape treating greyhounds disgracefully and live kills and all that type of stuff. This is all arm's length type of thing. So the point I'm making is these people were unaware of what was going on.
So,
the light's been shining on it. It'll be fixed because now they know about it.
So, Ralph, you said,
Yeah.
I think, not
Yes.
putting words in your mouth, you said some of the horses named
Yes.
reports seem to give the impression that they went from actually finishing a race to being put in a float and taken down and slaughtered.
That's right.
You said that they actually were rehabilitated and sent out to pasture for many years before they were sent to the slaughterhouse, didn't you?
Or Mike, here's an example.
Didn't you?
I did. I'm absolutely taking your point and setting this up. There was a trainer called David Pfeiffer. Now, you know, the reason I know you guys is through I was working at the Footy Show for 9 years. For those who don't know, and I understand the footy industry and the racing industry and sports industry pretty well. The most available sporting people anywhere, maybe V8 drivers are similar, but horse trainers. You ring them up, they'll do anything for you at any stage whatsoever. They're fantastic. They chose not to interview one hands-on person. Why? Because they clearly had done a deal with the animal activists. They got David Pfeiffer on the phone, one of the trainer of two of the main horses, including probably the highest profile horse, Tahitian Black, who had been retired and ended up at the knackery. They deliberately got him on speakerphone. Because they could have taken a camera down. Can we talk to you about this? Yeah, no worries. What is it about? Well, it's about this. They didn't want to brief him, just as they didn't brief Peter V'landys. They got him on speakerphone. They said, do you know what's happened to your horse? Yeah, well, I gave it to my foreman, and she looked after it. Well, it ended up in the knackery. And there's a pause. She hangs up on him. Now, this is what David Pfeiffer put out the next day. Now, you tell me if this is spin or if this is unfair journalism. Dear owners, clients, two horses that were trained by Pfeiffer Racing, Tahitian Black and Next to Kin, were highlighted in the program last night. The two horses, as horses we train, were found nice homes at the end of their racing career. Tahitian Black was retired over 3 years ago and spent 2 years in a paddock owned by my foreperson before being rehomed as a show horse in the Goulgon area. Next to Kin went to Vanderville Farm, was looked after by Nicky Rogers, who is well known in equestrian circles. The horse was then rehomed to embark on a dressage career. Pfeiffer Racing, without fail, finds decent homes for all our retired horses. A fact we are proud of. My family are animal lovers. My daughter has ponies, competes regularly. I was more than happy to cooperate with the ABC, as I knew I'd done nothing wrong. To say I'm disappointed in the way the ABC edited their interview with me is an understatement, as a matter I intend to take further. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my guys.
And you say, Mick?
No, I say to that.
That's your station.
Will you leave that out of it and have a balanced discussion about this? What I say to that is, Ralphie.
Yes.
The ABC were totally entitled. In fact, I thought were wise to put it on when they did. The focus is on the racing industry.
No, I'm talking about this point here.
No, that's a
So
point
one
of
guy's
it.
got torched unfairly.
What you're forgetting
prove
in this
a point.
debate.
To prove their point.
The point is the way that these horses are being disposed of. Now, what happens on the way through is
that's-
clouded. Okay,
that's
wait
a
a
given.
minute.
Mike,
that's
this
a
is not
given,
clouded.
Mick.
No,
Yes,
this
it
is not. No, hang on. This is not clouded. What this is saying is it's a factual situation. And I spoke to another racehorse trainer who I won't name, but he had one of his horses on there saying that it went to the knackery. Guess what? It's in his paddock and it's happy and healthy.
So I think
well,
one of the things
No,
here.
but you can't be a little
Hang on.
bit. You can't be a little bit with your facts.
One of the things
yes, you
we've got
can. You
here.
can.
Just a minute, boys.
Wait a
We're
sec,
one
wait
at
a
a
sec.
time. Let the go ahead.
We
then.
have Michael Sheahan here, who has is dripping in credibility when it comes to journalism. I think throughout his career he was very balanced and didn't torch people, and always used to go and get comments from anyone who's
Integrity
writing about before he'd
personified.
write a story. We have here a track record of the ABC and this particular reporter. It starts with live sheep, which was one rogue operator out of Perth that was sending sheep to the Middle East in the middle of summer when it shouldn't have been happening. She then turns her attention to the greyhound industry. That cost the New South Wales Premier Mike Baird his job, because they suddenly jumped in and said, okay, we've got to shut down greyhound racing right around the state. It almost cost the Liberals an election.
Well, they backed off that decision, didn't they?
But because they realised that they were reacting to a beat up on the ABC about the greyhound industry. Go back further, the live cattle trade out of North Queensland cost people millions of dollars, nearly sent
Stephen,
people broke. There are rogue abattoirs and rogue exporters and rogues in every business.
Steve, did you see the show that we're talking about?
Yes, I did.
No one.
One abattoir in Queensland.
Could have watched that the other
Merrimist.
night.
Yeah, but Mike,
No
One
one could-
abattoir.
Merrimist.
Yeah. How come people haven't been charged from there yet?
There's a
thank you. And that person's not in racing.
Talk about New South Wales.
No.
I think it's 2% of all prize money goes into
One.
rehome.
One.
It says 1%.
into rehoming race.
So here's how easy this will be fixed, because like all good ideas, they have to make sense both ethically and economically. This will be fixed in a heartbeat, because as Steve would well know, the power in the New South Wales breeding industry. How many industries have stood up to the mining industry? Not many.
One, racehorses.
Racehorses. They did that in the Hunter Valley, right?
Yep.
So this is so easily fixed now that the problem has been made aware.
Yeah, but the problem, we're aware of the problem, Ralphie, because they put it on the eve of the Spring Carnival, and they had a big audience,
That's right.
and everyone's talking about it.
No, but what I'm saying is it was framed as if racing people were deliberately negligent, and that racing
I don't
people
agree with that.
aren't animal lovers that they
come
are.
on.
No, I
Come
don't.
on.
I don't agree with
It
that.
was framed as if, a horse raced on Saturday,
Yeah.
No,
was
no.
loaded up on a truck on Sunday, and
That's
was
what I said.
made
No,
into
what-
dog
but you
food
were
on
being
a
facetious,
Tuesday.
weren't
Do you know many of those
You were being
races?
facetious.
No.
Well, for Ralph to say that Tahitian Sunset or whatever its
Yeah,
name is was 3 years in a paddock before it got there, they made out that it won and almost took the bridle off it and put it in a truck and
Correct.
and
I know.
down and
Let's
put a
not lose-
bloody electric shock in it.
Let's not
When you were
lose
doing
the
that-
story in the detail.
But equally though, Mike, surely it's fair to say, and you would never have done this, as Steve was alluding to, you don't torch people on the way through like David Pfeiffer, and if you had a big story and you had so many of them, an AFL story, I'm just picking a name, say Ross Oakley.
No,
Yes,
well, let's
and-
examine this. Let's get some reality here. Did you ever, when you had an exclusive story about
Horses?
somebody in football, not ring that person because you didn't want them to deny it and you ran the yarn?
I hope not.
Well, that's the point we're making.
But even
What about-
more so,
you
even more,
wrote about the Essendon Football Club and you didn't know anything about it. You bagged them out of hand.
No, I didn't. I was.
But
I don't like
hypothetically,
you, Mike,
I
to
had-
be honest.
No, what?
I don't like you, to be honest.
Sorry, Rex. I thought we
But
finished.
that's
with
the point, isn't it?
that. No, the point, Stephen, is
The ABC did not
we
give
have
the
a
racing
major issue.
a way to react
We
before
have a
they aired
major
it.
issue that was exposed last Thursday night.
Yes.
Now, whether the Pfeiffers and people like that were hurt on the way through, that's regrettable.
no, it's
But-
unacceptable.
Well, okay, we'll call
And it's
whatever,
factually
whatever
inaccurate.
term you want to put on it.
Yeah.
But the issue is the way
Dishonest.
the way we saw livestock slaughtered last
Yep.
Thursday night.
Now, that's a disgrace.
Those people should go to jail.
They
Yes.
should.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
he'd be in agreement with that.
No, but so's Lloyd Williams. Chris Waller, I urge you to have a look at Chris Waller. Did 8 minutes on ABC
I
News.
saw that, yeah.
How good was he?
Yeah, it was great.
So why
and Lee Friedman?
Now tell me this, and just as Steve was saying, if you had a great story in the 90s, a big story, you surely would have gone to Ross Oakley and said, I would need some quotes. This is what the story is. I'm about to run it, but you can tell me from the AFL's perspective. She, as in Caro Meldrum Hanna, was so desperate for a gotcha moment, rather than tell Peter V'landys the information, she asked the questions. He was unaware, so he answered like, oh, well, tell me about what happens to cats and dogs. The very next day, they replied, there was no spin on the reply. Like, when people are bullshitting, they will put spin. There was no spin. This is a disgrace. This needs to be fixed. And Peter V'landys, the old saying about the road of good intentions, what is it? The road to hell is framed through good intentions. Peter V'landys brought in this scheme about rehoming racehorses.
Yep.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Steve. Yep.
No,
And the reason he did that was for animal welfare. Now, it's been taken advantage of. The reason it's so fixable is this. They've all got microchips. The New South Wales breeders know that come the next yearling sales, they're going to need to be seen to be doing the right thing. There's already been one stud called Edinburgh Stud that has said, we
I
will
saw
take
that.
back any horse.
Correct.
They all will.
There's a broader question here. There's a group of activists who
Yep.
want to shut down horse racing. They don't like the fact that horses get hit with whips. They don't like the fact that horses break their legs and have to be put
Jump
down on
over
a racetrack.
fences.
So there is a group of activists, just like the Extinction Rebellion lunatics,
Ah,
who want to shut down horse racing.
I don't.
And they use your ABC as part of their marketing to have have people debate.
I don't,
Very nice
there's no
segue,
credibility.
Stephen. That was my next thing. That the
there's no
ABC.
credibility. They're not.
I saw them
They
outside.
produced the show, Mike.
I saw them outside Randwick.
Horse racing
hang
is
on.
thriving in every country in the world.
I saw them outside Randwick on Saturday. There's a small group of
How many people were there?
unwashed people.
How many? 100?
Wanting, that's it.
100.
But that's what that.
And they're going to bring horse racing to its knees.
Extinction
aren't they?
Rebellion's got about 200 people, and
That's
they're
right.
gluing themselves to the road. You don't have to have a lot of people to cause a lot of trouble.
Minority rules,
Mickey's
Mick.
got you on a technicality. It's factual. No, Mick. So your program, they will go from the greyhound industry to live export bans to racehorses. They will be on the climate bandwagon shortly, and that they will try and manipulate public opinion.
Well, they already are. They don't want us to eat meat.
All I'm caring about is that racehorses aren't
We can eat
slaughtered
racehorses.
in the way that
you're
they were
obsessing
slaughtered.
over. You're obsessing over that vision, which was bad. But it
Bad,
is a
was it?
small group of activists who want to shut down a sport called racehorse
No, we want to
racing.
shut down the inhumane way that these horses are
No,
being
they
treated.
want to shut. Have you seen them at Warrnambool? They want to shut down any little man who hits a horse with a whip.
There's one,
And they're
one-
doing it in the States as well.
What, no,
They've-
but there's just on that point actually, Sam. When you said racing in all parts of the world, in America it's lost the mainstream. Kentucky Derby aside, racing has lost the mainstream because it's really cruel on horses. The fatality rate's way too high.
Yes.
They race on bad tracks.
Yes.
They don't. They use it as wastage and product, so to speak.
Explain that. What's that mean?
For instance, if you if a horse bleeds, most horses
Yeah.
bleed internally because it's just exertion.
Yes.
But if any blood comes out their nostril, it means they've really exerted
And
too
they're
much.
banned.
They get 3 months in
Yep,
Australia.
yep.
If they do it a second time, it's life.
Right.
In America, you can race on a drug called Lasix. Now, what that does, it actually suppresses it in a bad way, and that is part of the reason why the fatality rates go up. So. It's wall-to-wall product over there. They haven't got things like casinos or sports betting, which has now come in. So they don't treat the animal like in really good respect like we do here in, say, the English.
Say
the
England and
European.
Ireland, yeah.
Correct,
Yep.
yeah. There's respect for the animal both here and in the UK. So the dynamics are different
And in
to
Hong
the
Kong,
States.
yeah.
Yeah, but in Hong Kong, for instance, it's a really tiny area. They come there and then they leave, and then hopefully they get found, they get sent back and rehomed.
Okay, now we've got Stephen in here. We've done with the horse racing at the minute. So we did ask people to ask questions on the tweet machine. This was about the Essendon Football Club. It was about, hang on, dogs being allowed into every...
Oh, yes.
This is Ben Rhodes says this. Simon Robinson says about Essendon. Susan Kane says time for a new CEO at the AFL. Horse racing, we did that. That's replying to Aurora. And someone said I used to go to a program dance. What is a program dance? I want to ask you, Stephen, do you agree? This is just moving on, and you're welcome to join in, Ralph. Do you agree that ISIS wives should be rehabilitated here in Australia? This is people who have married terrorists and want to come back because they made an error in judgment.
News poll out today in the Australian says 60% of Australians don't want them to come
We'll
back
add another
to
percent
Australia.
from me.
I think the children are different, but we can't split up the
No, you
families.
can't.
So we have this issue. According to Peter Dutton, who's the Home Affairs Minister, the reason I quote him is he sees all the intelligence. He says that many of the women were as bad as their husbands and were willing partners to go over there and support ISIS. So I don't think we should bring them back
husbands
here.
for better
So you
or
don't
for
think
worse.
the mothers and children should be repatriated?
Well, I don't think we should split the families up, and the women shouldn't come back, so they need to stay there.
So the kids should stay by virtue of the
Anyone
fact-
who walks out of Australia with a passport in their hand to go and support a terrorist group over there, I don't think we need them in Australia.
No, I agree with that.
We are in vehement agreement. Do you think we shouldn't be allowed to walk up Ayers Rock ever again?
I think that's personal choice. Of course, you should be able to climb up Ayers Rock. I mean, I saw some vision of you hitting a golf ball off the top. I think
That's right.
That's inappropriate.
Why?
But I think the climbing's
That's my
fine.
rock. It's my rock.
Yeah, but it's
Your
not a
rock,
golf
is it?
club.
It's our rock.
But it's not
We're
a golf.
Australians.
It's not a golf course.
I got enjoyment out of doing
You
that.
wouldn't go into St Paul's Cathedral
No,
with a driver
good
and
point.
start hitting a golf ball down the middle of the aisle.
Someone erected Paul's Cathedral, and no one erected Ayers Rock.
It's not a
big
golf
rock.
course. That's an inappropriate and that's a deliberately provocative and
Correct.
stupid thing to do.
No, it's not, Stephen. People walk up Ayers Rock, they change babies' diapers and leave the soiled diapers up there.
You don't know that?
I do know that.
How?
Because I spoke to an Aboriginal activist. I brought this very point up and he said, we're closing it down because people leave Coke cans, cigarette cartons, soiled diapers, food wrappers. Yes,
There is
diapers.
around the world there are natural wonders, and you treat those natural wonders with respect.
Well, it's so what I'm so.
Would you do it at the pyramids? Would you play golf at the pyramids?
Well, if I could balance on top of the point, I would.
But see, this is where you lose people because you did that to be deliberately
No, I
provocative.
didn't. 20 years ago, I did that.
To be deliberately provocative.
No, I didn't do it deliberately.
Would you do it now?
Well, why did you do it?
Would you do it now?
My word, I would.
Why?
Because I got enjoyment out of
you want to
doing
climb
it.
the rock,
I got enjoyment.
I got enjoyment out of doing it. I'm
There's a
standing
bigger
on.
picture than your enjoyment.
No, it's not.
Yes, there is.
I climbed up Ayers Rock and stood on the.
Yeah, we know what you
beacon.
did. We've seen it.
Yeah, so I did that because I enjoy golf and I thought this was a
But those of us who
fantastic-
want to make sensible arguments about being able to still climb it,
But that's-
we get criticised because of your
I don't
juvenile
I don't have
activity with
I
a
don't-
golf club.
I don't have disrespect for Ayers
No,
Rock.
but when I
have-
try and make the argument on television or radio that we should still be able to climb it, people go, yeah, your mate Sam Newman
Yeah.
goes up there and hits a golf ball.
Well,
And
what's wrong with
I'm
that?
then lost in the argument
Well, what's-
because it's disrespectful.
Why is it disrespectful? To whom?
Because it's a natural wonder of the... It's not a
Just
golf
hang on,
course.
Hang on.
It's not a golf course.
Well,
Well, need a golf ball, go to a golf course.
It's not a. It's not a. Not a.
You're not going to get a trail bike and ride up there, are you?
It's not a No, you're not. It's not a receptacle for people to leave their cans and cigarette cartons and soiled diapers.
That's
it's nothing of the
completely
sort.
different argument.
It's not a different. I left it in.
No one
exact,
should- no one
I
should
left
litter.
it. I left it in exactly
Did
the
you pick
same.
your tee up?
I didn't have a tee. I left it in exactly the same condition as I found it. I respected it.
All I'm saying is
I didn't leave anything on it.
your inappropriate
I just
actions
got
make
in-
it very difficult for
That's
those
not-
of us who want to make that argument.
That's only your opinion. It's not inappropriate for me to. What happens if I?
Move on. We know it's inappropriate.
What happens if I hadn't hit the golf ball? I just had a swing with a golf club. Just had an air shot.
You shouldn't be carrying a golf club up
Why
there.
shouldn't I?
Because
I
it's
can
not a
carry
golf
whatever I
course.
like up. What happens if I carried a walking stick up there?
Well, you're going to need
No,
one. You're going to need one soon.
What you're doing, Stephen, is you're trying to be deliberately provocative.
No.
And you're whining
Well,
yourself.
Ralphie
you're whining
and
yourself.
Michael agree with me.
No, they don't. They do
Michael?
nothing.
I
of the
don't know
sort.
why you
There's
would
nothing
play a golf
disres-
shot off Ayers Rock.
Because
Thank
I wanted to,
Ralphie?
and I got enjoyment out of it, and it is my rock as much as anyone else's, and that gave me pleasure.
What about if
you went to
25 million
Israel-
people went up there and tried to hit a golf ball off there?
My point is, if I hadn't had a golf ball, I just had an air swing with a golf club. Would that be
People
inappropriate?
say, what's this idiot doing with a golf club up here, wouldn't they?
Well, I actually used it to help me walk up it for a start, and I thought I'll use it
Use
as
a golf club to walk up there.
Please.
Well, have you ever heard of walking poles when you go on a hike? Have you?
If you went to the Wailing Wall in Israel, would you take a tennis racket?
That is what hit balls up against
Exactly.
Yeah,
it. What do you mean?
very good question.
No, it's not. It's
I think it is.
no, it's not. It's nothing.
Got
of
him
the
a
sort.
beauty. Well done.
No,
Ralphie, what would slow-mo Glickstein do that?
you didn't get me a
Morty
beauty at
Bromberg.
all.
Very well done.
Righto, that's disposed of that.
So there's Rock.
Yes.
While you think
We're wrapping
Oh,
up.
I want
shortly.
to ask
Do
you
you
one
wanna
about
wrap up?
something.
Well, no, you
Can I ask Steve one about
10 more minutes.
something you mentioned earlier about
Oh, I know what it is.
Virginia Trioli? When she got the job, she went out and made a point of how great it was that her as a female was able to get the mid-morning slot. But she had already done that in the afternoon. Why would you make that a gender thing when my read, and tell me this as a media expert, it would never, ever have been a better time to be a young female in media, would there?
No, I mean,
More opportunities than ever.
She made a mistake anyway. She wasn't the first female.
Correct, but that
to
aside,
do
why
that
would you
morning
take
show.
the gender angle? There was no need for the gender angle.
It's a very ABC thing to do, I suppose. I mean, I would say, though, that in talk radio, there is still a lack of female voices. We are trying on 2GB in Sydney to encourage as many as we can. We've got Erin Molan, who is a superstar from Channel 9, who
Really?
is on 2GB.
She's
She's
one of the rugby
outstanding.
blokes refused to work with her?
I don't know, did they?
Yeah, they did. Didn't they, Sammy?
Yes.
Yes.
She's a star, Erin
someone-
Molan. But I mean,
Johns?
we need more female
Yes.
voices
Yeah.
in talk radio for
He's-
sure.
Yes.
Next,
Andrew
Sam.
Johns.
refused to work with Erin Molan.
He did.
It's a beat up. That's true. It's not true.
It's not,
not
true.
true.
It is true. Now, Stephen. Now,
She
please.
appears on my show, and I talked to her about it.
No.
She told me it's not true
No, she would say that, wouldn't she? She would say that.
because it's not true.
No, no.
It's fairly simple.
Because she told you it wasn't true. I've been told. I know those people involved. I don't know her. I know the person, and also the person who told me said it is absolutely true. And so, Stephen, it's not just because she told you doesn't mean it's right.
It's best to go to the source, though. Normally,
No, it's well. I went to the other source.
Andrew.
I went to the other. Well,
So
he's-
Andrew Johns told you that he's got a row with Erin Molan, did
Yes.
he? Himself, personally.
I hope I speak clearly. I hope your ears are not painted on.
No, they're not.
I-
You spoke to Andrew
Yes,
Johns and he
I
said he
did.
doesn't like Erin Molan.
No, he didn't say that.
What did he say?
He said he didn't wish to appear with her.
Okay.
What, because you didn't like her?
No, because he was interrupted several times when he thought he was trying to make a point because the
Old
person
boys
wasn't
club, and
listening.
act again.
So what people do is, Stephen, and you know this well, is that when the activists go for race and sex and gender and race, when they run out of a job, they just go to the usual standbys: race, homophobia, transphobia.
Anyway, we're going to go down.
Who's the
another
best three
winding road.
female sports people at the moment, do you think, Steve, in the media?
In the media?
Sports people in the media,
What do
as
you mean?
commentators, you too, Mike. So when you hear them or see them speak and you present,
I think it's a given that Caroline Wilson's won.
it's from a journalist perspective.
Yeah. What are you smirking at,
I'm not smirking
Stephen?
at anything.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Yes,
think-
I would agree with that.
You agree with that? Okay.
I would disagree.
Do you
But
know?
now-
Do you know
Okay.
But now-
Caroline?
You've asked me for the three.
Yeah, yeah.
Stephen,
I would say that
do you know Caroline Wilson?
Her and I worked together, yes.
How well do you know her?
We worked together
In what
in
capacity?
newspapers, and I hired her on radio, of course.
Did you?
Yeah.
I
hired
see.
a few
Just
people.
professionally, you've known her. Just professionally, have you?
Caroline and I might have gone out together once for a little while.
did you?
Yes. That's no secret. I think
No,
everybody
it's-
knows that.
It's well documented.
I don't think Caroline likes to be reminded about it, but
She doesn't like
Daisy
to be
Pearce, you
reminded
enjoying
about
the work of Daisy Pearce?
Yeah, Sarah Jones I'd have
Yep.
second.
Yep.
Erin Molan's outstanding in
Well,
NRL.
but you know what it's like. Melbourne people have got no idea what happens in Sydney.
Yeah, I know, because you're so insular and you don't want to realise that there's a great big country out there.
Cricket, Ishigua.
What about that
Not sure.
wonderful woman on racing who's now at
Francesca
Channel 10?
Kamani,
Yeah,
superstar.
she's as good as any.
She
Yep.
is. Yep.
Outstanding.
That's my trifecta.
You know,
Yep.
the women's, the AFWL women's draft is on today. Do you
Yep.
think anyone is interested in
I have
that?
no interest in female AFL.
Do you think anyone's interested
Yeah,
in that?
I do, yeah.
Do you? The AFL women's draft to see
Your
who gets
daughter's
picked?
involved, that's
She
why.
is involved, yeah. But that's
But I'm not saying
I'm
it
a bit
in
broader
a
than that.
I'm not saying it in any derogatory way. I just personally I wouldn't cross the street to go and watch women play AFL.
no, that's okay. I understand there are a lot of people of your persuasion, but 50% of the population, you may have forgotten this, is female.
Yeah.
And there
Do
is
you
a-
like watching it as a sport?
No, but in 5 to 10 years'
Correct.
time, if I'm still here, I will. It's going to take off. There's no
You
question
didn't
about
answer
that.
his question.
What?
Do you like watching it as a sport?
Well, it wouldn't be my top.
That'd be yes or no, Mick, please.
No. There are degrees. I mean, I will watch it if it's on.
If it's on, you'll watch it.
Well,
say no more. It's
Okay,
on,
righto.
so you watch it.
But depends what else is on at the same. If there's anything good on the ABC,
What about
Small
a
ball
collect-
rifle shooting?
My point
What
about
about a
this,
collection of shepherds singing Welsh herding songs?
my point about this has always been,
Holy
if you
shit.
charge to go and watch it, no one would be there.
Exactly.
how many people went to watch AFL when it was football, Australian football, in 1897, 98, 99?
Sam?
Oh, Sam is around. We were
I
here.
used to
Did you
play
go?
in the. I used to play in it.
Yeah. Were there many people turned up to watch it?
Thousands.
There were not.
Oh,
this is a fledgling competition
Oh,
that'll
come on.
take time to develop.
It will get now. You know. You will take this the wrong way. This fledgling competition will gradually get diluted until it'll probably end up just being a token game.
Well, I don't agree with that.
No, I don't agree with it either.
What'd you say it for?
Because I'm speaking, because I'm...
You're arguing with yourself
thing,
now.
yeah.
I'm
What-
not arguing. I'm saying...
So you
the
make a statement and then you say, I don't agree with it.
I'm saying... I am saying it will end up being a
Can I get
token
Rex
sport.
back?
Mick, please, that is so logical. The general population will end up not embracing it as much as
Sam,
they
do you have
been,
any teenage girls in your life?
I beg your pardon?
I'm serious. I'm not being smart.
What
Do you have
you
any teenage granddaughter? Do you have any teenage girls in your life?
Yes.
That they are now embracing.
Good boy,
footy
Ralphie.
What's
Like
that?
it is
my
now,
daughter plays for ANU in Canberra.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
It's
not
now
talking
huge
about
amongst the
the
I don't
teenagers.
like it.
I'm not talking about the participants. You have just said that you're not. You only watch it if there's nothing better
No,
on.
no. What I'm saying,
I am saying that it will end up being diluted because the general population, like you just said,
Yeah.
Stephen, wouldn't go and watch.
And
This
I'm
has
going
been-
the
will
other way.
not embrace it.
I'm going. The longer it goes, the stronger it will become.
This has been a great pleasure. Is there a final question?
Yes, there is a final
there-
question.
yeah.
Do you think the Liberal government are trying to bring in, as they are in the States, a voter identification? That is, you have to have an identity card in order to vote. Do you think that that's reasonable, or is that discriminatory?
Who
Stephen?
cares?
Well,
There's
I
a-
tell you who cares. People who actually vote 3 or 4 or 5 times and upend the legitimate result of elections.
People vote 3 and 4 and 5
Well,
times.
the
That's-
number of
They do,
times-
vote often and vote early.
The number of times that happens very limited.
Yes.
If we're going to have a change to the way we vote, get rid of voting with a pencil and vote digitally on our phone, and you'll fix all those
Someone will hack
problems.
that.
Okay. So that's the answer to that. And he's got to go. And I want to ask you one thing. Now, what did you think? I won't make a statement here. I'll ask you a question. What did you think of the decision to welcome Nick Kyrgios back into the fold and have him back in the Davis Cup squad?
No, he should never play for Australia again. His behaviour
I knew
is
he'd say that.
unacceptable. And the sooner that tennis has got rid of idiots like him, the better.
No, but that's not his fault. We have this.
Well, it's not his fault that he's mentally deficient.
It is not his fault, Stephen. That's exactly right. He can act any way.
Well, go and get some help then.
He can act any way he likes on the tennis court. He can do anything he likes. The problem is not with him. It's the people who oversee his conduct. They shouldn't let him play.
I agree with that.
Well,
I
it's
agree with
nothing to
Sam.
do with him.
Yeah, he shouldn't play. That's what I just said.
You would have said that about McEnroe.
No.
You would have.
Thomas?
He was objectionable,
Thomas
and so
was?
was Agassi.
McEnroe was
Objection. He got run out of the,
over the top.
Open
Yes.
here.
He belted a reporter I once sent to interview him, pushed him over a couch. Bloke ended up on his back.
Who was that?
Jeff Easton. In a pub in the city.
He's up there.
Because he was probably in his.
I would have belted
because
these
he
guys
was
too.
probably
You
in
would
his-
not, when you're in the middle of your stellar sporting career, would you have put up with behaviour like Kyrgios's from one of your teammates?
No, but it's an individual sport.
I knew
Stephen.
you were going to say that. I'm asking you a simple question. There can be individuals within a team sport.
Hey, there's.
Would you have put up with behaviour like that from a teammate?
And
yes or no?
Yes, because
Yes.
hang on, every team puts up with erratic behaviour from individuals. It's when they're on the football field if they.
So wiping his towel on his backside and spitting into it and handing it to the crowd, that's appropriate, is it?
No, it's not.
During the
If
course
that was
of
at a rock
game,
concert, people would say beauty.
If it's what?
during the
At a rock
course,
concert, if a musician did that.
do you
Really?
think
Would they?
Mr. Hopewadi, who put his finger up someone's bum in a
a completely
rugby
different
game,
argument.
he was embraced, and as
That's
long
a
as
completely different argument.
what sticking your finger up someone's bum during a tackle is the same as wiping your towel on an arse and giving it to the crowd.
I don't think he ever recovered from that incident.
Who,
to be honest.
Hopewadi?
No.
What about the other bloke?
No, the bloke he did it.
The other bloke got reamed. He's still walking with a stoop.
Is that it?
Now, Stephen, it is. Thank you very
You've
much
been
for
very
coming
good,
in.
Steve.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
I came in, that's right.
Thank you very much for coming in.
You enjoyed
Stephen.
it?
It's fabulous, yes.
I tell you
You're
what I
being
want you
serious?
to
Does
do.
anyone listen to this?
No.
We are Ralph. How successful are you? And Ralph oversees Dane Swan's.
That's not us.
Which Steve's got a
I was
tattoo
going
off, I
to
didn't
say,
know.
Mick, he oversees Dane Swan's, and Swan and ours, you, Mike, Don, and Sam. We are extremely popular, aren't we?
It's been a
Huge,
very good,
top five.
it's a great pleasure to come and work with all of you professionals.
And if I can ask you one more thing, this will be on in about half an hour from leaving, but please on the plane, listening to the conversation we had last week with Rex. You honestly, having been his boss for a number of years, you will absolutely be staggered.
And I'll tell you how good it was. Stephen Goff, the former MCC CEO, rang me yesterday. He said, "Now, Michael, it's an hour since I listened to that program, and I've still got no idea what was going on."
That doesn't surprise me.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now,
Nice to see you, Steve.
He's going.
You too, Michael.
He's going.
Yep.
Appreciate it. We're going to just wind up. Is there
Yes.
anything else that you'd like to say, Mick? I had a number of things down here.
We've done Kyrgios. No, and we talked about John Fane with Steve, so that's done. David Warner, Ralphie,
Yes.
you're a sporting aficionado and not just the racetrack Ralphie. Is David Warner run out of opportunities?
Well, if we're looking at the form guide where it says in brackets T,
Yeah.
one at the track, they surely have to give him another opportunity on how he goes here
Jeez,
on local form compared to how he went in England.
He can't make a run at Sheffield Shield level.
No,
can
that's
he?
right. So he has to make runs at Sheffield Shield level. Otherwise, they have to say, well, you're not getting where I am.
I'm a Warner fan. I have been, but I mean, he went through the entire series.
Yep.
He played every test in England, finished with an average of 9 or 10 or something, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yep.
And he's come back and he's not making runs here.
That's right. They can't pick him
Sammy,
to test of that.
you would have a view on this. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have a view on it. Ask me a question.
He was
can't.
distracted. But I'll ask you both about Dave
Ask
Warner,
me the
about
question,
Steve
please.
Smith. What's the question?
Ask me the question. I'll have a view on it off the top of my head. Go ahead.
My head.
Should
Yes.
they pick Dave Warner when he's not making runs in the Shield cricket? That's Mike's question.
I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're trying to be consistent with people who actually have a performance track record and you're not performing, you probably shouldn't get a game on your merits, should you?
Well, because your merits don't justify it.
Well, that's the same as not getting a
Are
game
you
on
intrigued
your
by
merits.
the Steve Smith conversation because he's now playing good cricket? He should be a captain again. Why should that mean that he's a captain again? If
If he's playing good cricket.
just let him play good cricket.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have. I'd have no problem with him being captain again.
No. What I'm saying is, why should he be elevated to captain just because he's playing good cricket? I mean, Sam Mitchell was a star after he stopped being captain. There was no, do you think cricket is still based around the best player philosophy compared to the AFL that's probably moved on?
No,
a bit from that?
I think that on the evidence available that he's clearly a superior captain to Tim Payne.
Right. But so you're saying judge him on his captaincy ability rather than his batting ability.
Yeah.
I want your opinion on this. I'm sorry this is about me, but I want your opinion on this, both of you. I spoke at a CFMEU function. I bet you don't know what CFMEU stands for.
Construction.
For a start. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Construction.
And forestry.
Yep.
Yeah. Members.
Mining.
Mining.
Yeah.
Union.
Maritime.
Yep.
So they should be CFMMEU.
Yeah.
Energy. Union.
Yep.
I spoke at a function and had my photo taken with John Setka.
Saw that.
And have I taken a belting for that? So is this guilt by association? John probably didn't want me to have his photo taken, and I have no problem having my photo taken with John Setka. Doesn't mean to say I agree or disagree with anything he does.
So your question is?
Do you think I should have had my photo taken with him because he seems to be persona
Okay.
non
Well,
grata?
I'll give you the live example of that. When I interviewed Ralphie, your partner, Dane Swan,
My partner.
for open mic
Yeah.
for a month ago.
Yeah. How good was he?
He was very good, yeah.
Sensational.
He was, and I asked him about being photographed with Mick Gatto.
I got reprimanded by my station for having my photo
And there was
taken
an
with
interesting
Mick.
response. Dane was quite happy with it, no issue, but he did concede that he rang Ed.
That's right.
And explained to him before it was published.
Well, Ed, as I found out a couple of times, as Sam would well know, Ed's got a very simple philosophy, and that is no surprises.
Yes.
So that's fair. That would be a sensible thing to do. Give him a ring and say it's
I
coming out.
told my station at Channel 9 I had my photo.
Is it still your station?
Well, I get just small stipend, Mike. A small stipend. I rang my station when I had my photo taken at a boxing tournament with Mick, and they said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, why not? I mean, what does that mean?" Fancy saying to someone, and they say, "Can I have a photo taken?" You say, "Oh no, sorry, I can't." What does that mean?
But don't you give who was it? Gatto, was it?
Mick.
Don't you give
Mick.
Gatto some credibility with because you're prepared to be photographed with him?
absolutely. I want to put you in the position when you're standing next to John Setka, Mick Gatto, or anyone else that might be considered colourful identities. When they say, "Can I have a photo, Mick?" You're at a function with them, and you say, "Oh no, sorry, mate, I can't be seen having a photo." I mean, it just doesn't work like that.
Look, I hope I'd be brave enough to say, look, rather not.
Really?
Yeah, I hope so.
But what? So it's guilt by association, is it? You're lumped
No,
in
no,
with anything that they think.
No, I think they want the credibility that you or someone like that would provide.
Do you reckon? I reckon they just think you're a good bloke and they want your photo taken with them. This is finally, this is for me finally, a man called Cedric Houlihan said, some years ago on Triple M, you were asked about a program dance you went to. What is a program dance? Have no one ever listening to this or you ever been involved in a program dance where you go to a dance hall and you have a sheet of paper, 1 to 8 dances, and you go up to women in this case. I was a heterosexual back in those days. I went up to women and said, "Can I have a dance?" And
Did you book the Pride of Erin?
They were the waltz or the
Foxtrot?
circular. What do you call that thing that goes round and around? The Pride of Erin, isn't it? And you say, "Oh look," they would say, "I'm booked out for dances 1, 4, and 8, but you can have 7 or 6 if you like." And then if they didn't like you, they'd say, "Look, I'm sorry, we're booked out." And you'd look at their sheet and there'd be nothing on it at all, and you'd think, "Yeah, I've been."
But, no, I remember. I know this did happen, but it didn't happen in your day, did it?
Of course, I'm just telling you it did, Mick. In the 60s.
Happened in my parents' day.
In the 60s and 70s. It happened down at the Palais in Geelong. They used to have program dances and you'd all go along and...
You went up and said, "Can I book number 6?" Did you?
That's correct. I say, so I could have a dance with you. And they say, "Look, I'm sorry, I've got 4 and 5 booked out."
So you see the irony there, Sam. You're holding a piece of paper back then, looking at it.
That's right.
No, and if you swipe right, that is what happens now.
That's
exactly right.
I was the forerunner of modern technology.
Now, there's one while we've got a racing expert here.
Yes.
I'm one, but Ralphie's more publicly acknowledged. Ralphie, I am concerned about the dearth of stayers in this country.
Yes.
That every
A
time...
lack of.
Yes.
A lot of people would know what that means.
Okay, every time there's a big race on here of any distance, 2,000 metres or more, they bring these ordinary horses from Europe.
No, they're no longer ordinary. The prize money's too good.
You know that the cross counter was a jumper in England?
Yeah, but
came here and won a Melbourne Cup.
Their jumpers are very, very good horses.
Do you think racing is on the straight? Do you think that most of the horses racing from overseas that come over for these big carnivals are actually ethically cleared to race, or people don't look into what they've been taking because it might disrupt the industry?
That could be the best question I've ever heard you ask, Sam. Because
I
can answer it within the boundaries because, as you always taught me, it's not the questions you're asked; it's the answers you give.
Yeah.
What in the Olympics, build up to an Olympics, every athlete is registered wherever they are, and they are tested wherever they are. If you are going to race in the Olympics, at the moment, our stewards test all the local horses. But they can't be going overseas testing horses all the way through their build-ups.
Do they not test them at Werribee when they're in quarantine?
But if
the horse is bolted, so to speak.
Well, not really. Not if it hasn't raced.
No. But you're assuming what the particular drug is. If they were, they could have had it before they got here. But in simple terms, and this is no nefarious accusations, the European stayers are better than ours. So why Peter V'landys has been so clever with the Everest is twofold. One, our sprinters are as good as anywhere in the world.
Yep.
2, during the year, racing people only, I know you're interested in racing at this time of year, Mike, but racing people year-round are talking about the Everest.
Yes.
The last 3 Melbourne Cup winners haven't even raced in Australia by now. And they probably still haven't. The Melbourne Cup winner probably still hasn't been seen. So there's this lack of connection with the Melbourne Cup now.
I agree totally with that.
Amongst racing people and the general community.
Yeah.
Now, as we finish, it's been remiss of me because Don Scott was asked by the Harness Racing Association probably to be the front man of probably a scandal that was going on.
Scandal?
Well, not a scandal. He was trying to make it he was retained to be the face of harness racing, and this whole thing that we've been talking about and was dudded because they didn't go on with it because the bloke who asked him to be part of it, ceased not to be there, and then they decided not to go on with it. I just want to say, if Don has been listening to this or listens to this, we are thinking of you. I hope you're over the bird flu, and Sam, Mike and Don will be back next week.
Yeah.
I'm sure Don will be here. And I want to thank you, Ralph, for very
Thank you,
very
Sam.
informative. Mick, as always, you have been, I don't know if you've escaped, I got a belting today about hitting the ball off Ayers Rock.
Yep.
Stephen said, I don't know what's wrong with that. Still, mind you, I didn't know what was wrong with painting my face black, pretending
No.
I was Nicky Winmar. I
Gee,
just still don't
the
know.
full story will come out one day on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So, Mick, as always, a delight. You've escaped without anyone saying they don't like you. You're a bit, you wear your heart in your sleeve a bit. If you could toughen up a bit, mate, that'd be handy.
you're so good at telling people who are being criticised to not be so sensitive.
Have you ever heard
Wait
of
a sec.
Daddy Cool?
Hey, no, before we do Daddy Cool, now that you've raised this, and it's just very quick, Jack, I want people to go back to a radio encounter between John Newman and Rex Hunt from 2011, and you
cannot
tell
be
me,
serious.
you tell me I'm overly sensitive.